Hi, it's Mr. Carson here, and today I thought we'd look at how we could use that lovely thing called Google Sheets to help us make some good data tables for our science reports. So the first thing we need to do is to open up some Google Sheet files. Okay, so I've opened up a Google Sheets files and we can see we have a nice little pattern arrangement. Now, if I click on this and highlight that one, we can actually call that a column. Alright, so anytime in this case I highlighted column B, and then if I highlight it this way in horizontal, we highlight a row. Now these are going to be terms I'm going to use on the way through this whole process. If I just highlight one of the little boxes, we actually call that a cell, and that's really good for us to understand these things because I will use the term cell in this and subsequent sessions. Right, so the first thing I'm going to suggest to you is we never start off at A1 because we might want to change. So if we want to change something, we're better off to start down here somewhere. So I'm going to start with the cell I've got highlighted, and to tell the program that I want to do something, what I do is to double click on that, and then we find a cursor appears in there, and I'm going to start off by making a table. Earlier in the year we did a test where we had some materials and we reacted them or dissolved them into some sulfuric acid. So let's have a look what we've got here. We had the materials. Now we used marble, so I'm going to put the materials in the column B below the heading. Alright, then we go to wood, and I hope you can remember this activity. Then we go to tile, and last but not least we had concrete. So we've got the top one is a heading, so I'm going to make it bold so it stands out, so I understand that. Alright, now I think that's a little bit small, so I'm going to make the whole lot bigger. Now I could just highlight all these, but since I'm going to use the whole of my spreadsheet, what I can do is if I click this one, it highlights everything. And I'm going to say, we're still going to use Arial, but I'm going to make it size 14. Now that will do that for everything in the spreadsheet is now going to be Arial size 14. Now this is the thing we changed to our independent variable. So these four things we chose to change. Now then we measured certain things about them, and if you remember correctly, we measured the mass before we added the acid, and this was measured in grams. So in your heading you should always have all of the information that's going to be recorded in that column. So my column C, if I hit return, my column C is all going to be about masses. So all I have to do in there is put numbers, and I'm going to do that in a moment, but first let's fix this up a bit. Now that extends into D and E at the moment, so what I can do is I can highlight C, go up to this one up here and wrap the text. In other words, I'm going to try to get the program to put all of that text into that cell. Okay, and it's done it for us. But I'm just going to make that a little bit wider because I don't want it to be that high. So I'm going to make it there. So I grab the top and take it across. There we go. Now we're fine. And we then measured the mass after we added the acid. So let's put that in there too. And again, we measured it in grams. So if I tell the machine that's fine, go up here and do exactly the same thing and wrap the text. So again, I'm going to make it a bit wider, about to there, so we've got a nice table looking thing. Now I'm just going to make this look a bit nicer. So all my headings I'm now going to make bold. So I'll highlight the lot and make it bold. But I'm also going to make it centered horizontally and centered vertically, so it looks nice. Alright, so there I've got all these things done. You're with me so far. Right, now I can start putting in numbers. Notice since I've said that all in column C are about grams, I don't have to use G for grams anywhere. And the same applies to D. So let's say we started off with 5 grams of material. Now it's gone to 5 point, it's taken the 5 and made it to 5.0, but I want it to actually be 5.0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all these ones and I'm going to increase up here, increase the decimal places. So now all of the numbers I put in here are all going to have that many decimal places. Pretty clever. So now I'm just going to put all my numbers in the center, and there we go. Now if I measured correctly, if I remember correctly, we used the same mass of each one of the materials to make it a fair test. So what I can do is if I move the cursor over, if it's inside, it's the arrow, if it's down the bottom, it's the hand, and if I come across the little corner, it becomes a crosshairs. Now if I then grab that and then drag it all the way down, it tells the program to copy what's in that cell and then paste it in once below. So if I release, yes, we've got all 5 grams, so it's looking fantastic. Right, now let's think about what the mass was after we finished. Now I'm just going to put some numbers in. And we will see what's going on. And let's go 4.2 for that one. So that's now starting to look like a table. So to make it even look more like a table, what I do is I go through and highlight all the parts. So I've got the little blue, in my case, the blue shading and the little blue line, hashed line around the outside. Then if I come up to here and go to borders and put all borders around, there is my table. And I can simply highlight that, copy it and paste it into my report document, and there it's all done. Okay, next one we're going to do is we're going to look at a way of showing this. Instead of in numbers, let's show it visually. In other words, we can draw a chart, but that's in the next screencast.